Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. Bitcoin has seen a head and shoulders market pattern. It has broken to the downside, and this is a market pattern that we've been discussing for about a month now. We made a dedicated video on it about a month ago while we were up higher in price on Bitcoin. We've now broken down. It's a market pattern that's actually been playing out for a very long period of time. In fact, most of 2023, we've broken it to the downside, and it gives some quite low targets for Bitcoin. Fortunately for us, those targets don't destroy the macro cyclical structure, but they do indicate a big drop on Bitcoin. We'll be looking into the validity of those targets. The breakdown is certainly valid. The targets themselves are up for interpretation, but overall, regardless of the interpretation, it does indicate further downside price action for Bitcoin. At the same time as we're seeing this, which is quite bearish, we're also seeing for the first time in 2 or 3 years, a bearish monthly stochastic RSI cross. We can avoid it if we go upwards in the next 6 days. We can avoid it. We can avoid that cross. But overall, that cross is not good news either. So lots of bad things coming through on Bitcoin. Luckily for the daily chart, there is, momentum indicators suggesting that the bearish selling pressure is being absorbed quite well, but that might not be enough. So lots to look into today, lots of big claims to make, lots of big structures to analyze, big breakdowns to look into. And the ultimate question is, how low will Bitcoin go? So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, before we get into the video, let's take a quick look at the charts we will be discussing today. First and foremost, we are going to be looking at the 3-day chart, looking at a potential head and shoulders formation, analyzing that bearish scenario for Bitcoin and looking as to where that will take us and as to why it's not particularly the end of the world from a cyclical perspective, but that bearish head and shoulders formation has potentially played out. We discussed that before, we'll discuss it again today. We'll take a look actually as well at the monthly chart from 3 different perspectives. We'll look at the monthly chart RSI, stochastic RSI perspective, which is actually triggering a bearish stochastic RSI cross, which we don't see very often. In fact, it's the first time we see that in about 2.5 years. So that's pretty major. We'll then be looking at monthly chart from our regular support line, resistance line perspective. We'll then be looking at monthly chart from our kind of RSI moving average cross perspective, which is coming in for a bearish cross again, just like this chart over here. So all 3 of those monthly charts tie into each other and they're all very important. We've discussed the monthly before, but this is from different perspectives now. Then we're going to be diving briefly into the Bitcoin daily chart, looking at CVD, looking at stochastic RSI, regular RSI, and volume, and showing you that the momentum on this downside move has slowed down quite a lot and that the selling pressure has been absorbed quite well. We'll then be looking at total cryptocurrency market cap and Ethereum to end off the video. So that's the order in which we'll be discussing the topics today. We've got one more chart as well, from someone called Titan of Crypto, which kind of dives into the monthly chart stochastic RSI cross to a greater extent. But yeah, those are the charts. Without further ado, check out the Bitget Exchange. It has 5 times lower fees than Binance. It has optional KYC as of right now. It will be becoming a KYC exchange soon, which means you will have to link your identity to the exchange, and you'll be able to do that from anywhere in the world except the United States, Canada, and from Singapore. I will be releasing a second exchange that I'm going to be using for the Wolves Crypto YouTube channel for people for those countries that can't sign up to Bitget. But as of right now, Bitget is the exchange for this YouTube channel. So go ahead and sign up with the link below for a 15% trading fee discount for life. Without further ado, let's dive straight into the video content. So yesterday I told you guys about this uptrending yellow line, this lower one here. In fact, I'll make it pink so you guys can see it to a greater quantity here, or with ease, I should say. So that's our major uptrending yellow line. There's a uptrending line that is actually stemming all the way back from over here in 2017. Okay, so it's been uptrending for 6 years. It's very important for Bitcoin. It actually marked the bottom here in 2022. It marked the bottom back here in 2018 as well. It marked close to the bottom near the COVID drop. Of course, COVID was a period of rapid volatility, so it's very hard to mark the bottom to any great degree, but it largely marked the bottom of where the vast majority of the volume was coming in on volume profile. So this pink line uptrending for 6 years is very, very important. It's been crucial for Bitcoin, and we've had multiple, well, 2 now, triangle formations form off of this line. The first triangle formation forming with this dotted yellow line. We broke that to the upside. It went to an upside move for Bitcoin. And now the second triangle formation is forming with a dotted yellow line and the pink line again. But overall, what we had before, and the reason why, you might remember me saying this, if you're new to the channel, I was saying this, you have to take my word for it. I was saying for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you can just look at YouTube titles from my videos at the time, that we will be seeing a major move within the month of August. Now, obviously, we did see that. We saw on August 14th a big move to the downside, and unfortunately, it was a downside move, but If you remember, I did make a bear case scenario video. I might go ahead and put it in the description below so you know I'm telling the truth, of us seeing a head and shoulders formation. That was one of my bearish scenarios. Now, I was not, fully on board with a bearish move to the downside. I said, quote unquote, that we were going to be 70% chance of moving to the upside. We saw the 30% chance take place. That's how the market works. Probabilities don't always play out in the way we want them to play out. But I did say specifically, and I made a whole video about it, that there was a potential head and shoulders formation playing out here. And that's actually what we saw, right? So let's go ahead and draw up this head and shoulders formation, and we'll tell you where it actually takes us. We'll get a measured move and we'll bring the target out. So you can see a very clear head and shoulders formation here. Now, some people might argue, oh, well, how can it be a head and shoulders formation if the right shoulder went up higher than the head? That's not how head and shoulders formations work. Basically, they work by measuring the distance between the neckline and the head and making sure the distance between the neckline and the head is shorter than the distance between each shoulder and the neckline, right? So it's about the height, not about the actual placement itself price-wise. So that is a valid, very valid head and shoulders formation, and that's what we were discussing weeks ago. We were discussing this into late July. And so what is the measured move? Now that we know this is a head and shoulders formation, now that we know it's a breakdown from a head and shoulders formation, we can take a measured move. We can see that measuring from the peak of the head to the closest point vertically on the neckline, we can see that this head and shoulders formation applied to the breakout is actually targeting, right, around the uptrending support line that we've been holding for 6 years. Now, here's the thing I want you to remember. I want you to remember that measured moves from market patterns on logarithmic charts are extremely unreliable. We cannot hold this price target to any degree of validity, really, because logarithmic charts obviously exaggerate the price target when it comes to downside moves. So this is an exaggerated price target. This head and shoulders formation that broke to the downside at 29K does not target 19K. That is just what the logarithmic chart suggests. Realistically, it targets a lot higher than that in the sense that it won't be that bearish. But it is interesting to see that the market pattern that we formed here, that we broke to the downside, is targeting around this pink line here, because realistically, a retest of that pink uptrending line would not be the end of the world. You can see that during 2019 and 2020, we kind of tested this support line. We went upwards, we then went downwards and tested it again before kicking off the actual bull market. So it wouldn't be, abnormal at all, considering the similarities between 2018, 2019, and now, for us to go down and retest this pink line for support. It actually wouldn't be abnormal for us to do that and then go upwards and break to the upside like that. Whether it take a little bit longer than that, whether it comes down like this and then breaks upwards in 2024, the fact of the matter is that wouldn't be abnormal. So the fact of the matter is, we had a bearish formation, we had a head and shoulders formation, it broke to the downside. The measured move, yes, it's not reliable, we can't rely on it, ultimately, we can't actually hold it to any real weight, but it does target this pink line. And we do know that targeting that pink line would not be the end of the world, because we are in a similar structure structurally to what we saw over here. We saw a rounding bottom, we saw 1, 2, 3 legs, and then we saw downside price action, retested the pink line, and then went up. We could very well see that again. We saw a rounded bottom, okay, 1, 2, 3 legs, downside price action, retest the pink line and go up. It would not be abnormal to follow exactly what we did in 2019 and 2020. And if we did that, we would be retesting the pink line and then going upwards sometime towards the end of this year, the start of next year. So realistically, even in this bear case scenario, Bitcoin still has a chance. Now, I would not like to see that happen though. And the reason why, even though I understand that it would be cyclically valid, the reason why I wouldn't like to see it happen is because that would constitute a breakdown below this red line, which is 24.5K, and 24.5K is ultimately the line dividing these two ranges. So we wouldn't want to drop back below this range, but if we did, we would have a glimmer of hope. So right now, that head and shoulder formation is predicting lower prices on Bitcoin, and that's something we definitely need to keep an eye on. And that's kind of the main topic I wanted to discuss in this video. Even if that formation plays out, yes, it wouldn't be ideal because we'd lose the line at 24.5K, but it wouldn't be the end of the world because we'd still have hope to hold this pink line, which we've actually held for 6 years. So that's probably the main topic of this video, but I do want to also look into multiple other things, and this is another new piece of data here. This is the monthly chart stochastic RSI. Now, this is interesting, right? Because we don't really see monthly chart stochastic RSI crosses very often, especially bearish ones. It's kind of something that happens a couple of times a cycle, and sometimes it's very messy, right? So you can't really take these with any real weight, because if you're looking historically, when do we see them? Well, we saw a couple of bearish monthly RSI crosses here, stochastic RSI crosses here, and we went upwards straight away. We just ignored them. We saw the exact same story, occur over here. We saw 4 or 5 of them during 2016 to 2018. We just ignored them, went upwards. When they actually really started mattering, they didn't really matter until 2019. And in 2019, they started to matter, okay? Because in 2019, we saw a stochastic RSI cross at the peak here, okay? And we went downwards. Now, if you'll note what I just said on this chart over here on Head and Shoulders chart, I said we could be following something like 2019. And if we were following something like 2019, it would stand to reason that we're in the same place as we were in 2019, near the top before it moved downside, then retesting the pink line. Now that lines up in the monthly RSI because look, stochastic RSI, sorry, look, we crossed bearish right at the peak here, which is where it looks like we are if we were following 2019. That's exactly what we're doing again. Monthly stochastic RSI cross at the peak, and that would lead to downside price momentum for multiple months before a retest of the pink line and then upwards from there. If we were following 2019, that's what we would do. So it's not the end of the world cyclically, but it's certainly not bullish. Obviously, you can't say a monthly stochastic RSI cross is bullish. We saw another one here, and it marked the top during 2021. Mid-year, we corrected, went upwards again, but ultimately it did mark the top. The fact of the matter is it's not good to see these things. It's not actually confirmed yet. We have 6 days until it's confirmation, and we do know that if Bitcoin does get back above something like 29.3k, which is this red line, we would not actually confirm that stochastic RSI cross. We would also not confirm the bearish cross coming in on the monthly RSI itself between the 14 moving average and the monthly RSI price line. So we could very well avoid this bearish cross on stochastic RSI. We could very well avoid this bearish cross on monthly RSI as well. But ultimately, we would need to be seeing a good monthly candle close, and we have 6 days to do that. We have 6 days to get above something like 29.2k, or at least make progress in getting there, so we can have a chance of avoiding these bearish crosses. But right now, it's not looking particularly good. However, there is a chance of reversal. There is a chance of turning it around, and that chance is coming through on the daily chart. Okay, we can see that we've got a very, very low valuation on RSI on the daily chart, which is showing us a very, very oversold Bitcoin. On top of that, we're seeing kind of flat prices here on the daily chart itself, but also higher lows on the RSI, showing us a bullish RSI divergence there. We then have CVD showing us lower lows, very strong lower lows for a quite a lengthy period of time now, since July, since like early July, we've been seeing lower lows. At the same time, if we're zooming into it, right, what we can see, zooming in very, very, very close here, what we can see is that since the 18th of August, we've been seeing very strong lower lows, and at the same time in the price chart, we've been seeing flat lows. This shows us that basically the bearish selling pressure is being absorbed quite well by the limit buy orders, right? The bulls are holding the line quite well, which makes sense, right? And we'll speak about that in a second. We're seeing volume decrease as the price goes downward, which is good to see as well. We're also seeing stochastic RSI bottoming out on multiple occasions, which is quite good to see as well. Although unreliable, it is good to see. Why is all this happening? Why is the bearish pressure weakening? Why are the bulls absorbing the orders pretty well? Because, guys, we're on a major support zone. We're on 24.5k. It makes sense for us to be seeing a lot of support here. That's exactly what we're doing. So there is a chance, right? There is a chance. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like a very, 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 very strong chance. I honestly couldn't say what is more likely at this point because we do have a double top here. But there is certainly a chance, given the quantity of this support, given the quality of this support, that we do bounce here. The fact of the matter is we want to be seeing it very shortly because we want to be getting it back above some major support lines, major resistance lines, I should say, before the monthly candle close. So we have 6 days, really, for Bitcoin to make a move, and we're hoping it does that. We need to be seeing it shortly, and 6 days is quite a while, but also considering how low the volatility has been for a long period of time here on Bitcoin, it's really not that long, right? Now, luckily for the markets, we do have major support not only on Bitcoin, but on other charts as well. Total cryptocurrency market cap, for example, is on this red line, which is the $1 trillion support zone. That is probably the most major psychological support zone you can find in the cryptocurrency market. Obviously, it's been vague. We've moved up and down below it very swiftly, but overall, it has been a major point of contention. It has separated the chart quite nicely. We're on that support right now. Unfortunately, we're rejecting from this yellow line resistance, but we do have a major downtrending yellow line. That would be the trigger for another bullish move in the cryptocurrency market. That is up here. We'll speak about that more in the future. The RSI is very, very low in oversold territory. We've very rarely dropped below this RSI line at 21. And the same story is to be said about Ethereum. Again, we're on major red line support at around 1,650, and the RSI is in the same situation, right? The RSI is very, very low. We've very, very rarely seen a drop below this level on the RSI. In fact, we've seen it once or twice, right? We've seen once or twice a drop below this level on the RSI, but overall, it holds pretty nicely. So, major support coming through, not only on price charts, but also on RSI, on total cryptocurrency market cap, and Ethereum, and Bitcoin. It's just a matter of whether we hold it or not, whether we bounce or not. And unfortunately, the monthly, patterns that are forming, the head and shoulders pattern that's formed here, the double top pattern that's formed here, doesn't really give me that much confidence. We have broken down from a head and shoulders formation. The head and shoulders formation is targeting down here. Although the target is not reliable, that is the structure, right? Not only do we have a head and shoulders, we also have a double top. That is the structure we're seeing. Now, if we go down, luckily for us, if we go down, it's not the end of the world. The reason being is because we can retest this support line in pink. And the reason being is because we have seen something similar to this before, and it did only lead to temporary corrections. Now, with that said, that temporary correction, quote unquote temporary, lasted close to a year, lasted 9 months. But the fact of the matter was, it didn't destroy the cyclical structure. Even though it lasted a long period of time, even though it was death for crypto for a long period of time, and people got very, very bored during that time period, the fact of the matter is, it didn't destroy the cycle. And ultimately, guys, it's the cycle that we care about, right? So, whether we see downside price action for the next 6 months, 9 months, that's not confirmed yet. We need to be breaking 24.5k for that to even be confirmed. But whether we see that or not, as long as the cycle is intact, that's all we really care about, because we were not expecting anything in particular in this point of the market cycle. I've said it over and over again. I say it in most videos. This part of the market cycle is unexplored territory. We've only been in this part of the market cycle twice. We've been in 2015, 2016, and 2019, 2020. 2 data points, 1, 2, is not enough to make a trend. We don't know what to expect here on a macro scale. We're following short-term and medium-term TA. So as long as we hold the cyclical theory, we know what comes next. We know what comes next in regards to, we know what happens after the halving, which is upwards price action. But ultimately, guys, we've seen bearish developments in the charts. Bearish market pattern has triggered. We could go a little bit lower than we expected. It's very well likely, but it wouldn't damage the cyclical structure, and we could be very well copying, like I've said, for months and months, 2019 quite closely. It doesn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what's occurring. Monthly stochastic RSI cross, we'll have to look into it when it does occur. Obviously, it's still pending right now, but it's worth talking about. And kind of, we're seeing a lot of support right now, and you could say that's bullish, but it's honestly just expected. I don't think it gives us an idea of whether it's bullish or bearish. I don't think us having support here is bullish or bearish, because we know we were meant to have support here. Of course we were meant to have support here. This is a major support zone, so it doesn't really tell us anything, right? We need to see whether it holds or not. That's what matters. So, charts right now, I think the way you can describe it is, it's looking, quite weak in a medium-term regard. There is definitely a chance that we hold the support zone at 24.5k. That would be the favored thing to do. I'd love to see that happen. But if we do go down lower, it's not the end of the world cyclically. So macro, I'm still bullish, right? And that's the main point. Macro, and by macro I mean cyclically speaking, on a 4-year cycle basis, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. I don't think the 4-year cycle has had any cracks yet. I just don't think that's true. I don't think it's had any cracks yet. So I'm still macro bullish, and that's what matters. But yeah, medium term, short term, I mean, that's up in the air at this point. We've seen many, many bearish triggers and many signs of weakness as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. But I wanted to show you that head and shoulders formation particularly, because I think it's very, very important to look at. And that's something I did discuss before we actually broke down as well. You know me, guys. I keep you guys informed. Say what you want about my predictions. I keep you informed. And that's exactly what I've done here throughout the entire throughout the entire bear market of 2022, I kept you informed very, very well. Throughout the entire bull market of 2021, throughout the entirety of this uptick in the price action as well, I've given you kind of every single structure, and the vast majority of my predictions have been correct. For example, just going to go through a few things here. We predicted the top at 63k, which is just right over here. That's when we predict the top. Yes, I was targeting higher, but I said that prediction was wrong. I predicted the top. I said sell right here. We went downwards. This entire dead cat bounce, I was saying Bitcoin was destined to go downwards. People were saying, no, we're going to go up. We went downwards, right? Throughout this entirety of this false bottom here that we saw for months, I said we're going to go lower. We bottomed out perfectly as per my Q4 prediction. We went upwards. I said this move was legitimate the entire time. On every single correction we bought, right? And we got an average price of Bitcoin at around 19k. That's a very good average price. We then had this little move downwards here. Then I said, yeah, look, we're probably more likely to go upwards. We didn't go upwards. But I also said, you have to remember, I also said you shouldn't be buying here. So you shouldn't have lost money there. So basically, every single prediction that I've made throughout the entirety of my YouTube channel history, the September bottom, the May bottom, the top in 2021, has been correct where it matters. Has been correct where I've said buy, where I've said sell. And that's just an absolutely exceptional track record. So I don't say it very often. I don't, brag very often, but I just want to say the accuracy of this YouTube channel has been phenomenal. So, I don't know why I'm saying it now, but it just came up in conversation. With that said, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Check out the Crypto Academy. Learn how to trade like me. Learn how to analyze charts like me. This is a course developed by myself and Megawell Crypto. You might know him. He's another kind of technical analyst in this space. This course will teach you everything you need to know. All the information is on the website. And the VIP group, I trade altcoins on VIP with a 79.1% win rate. That's 4 out of every 5 trades, guys, reaching profits. Absolutely exceptional win rate. You can check out the Telegram VIP group. The information is below. We're doing some upgrades to it shortly. If you want to make money on altcoins, you can do that with the VIP group. Guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.